This is the NNW 611, designed and built by the Norfolk and Western Railway in Roanoke, Virginia. The 611 was built in May of 1950. The NNW, they were famous for their steam locomotives, and the Class J was one of their most famous engines. They built them in 3 groups starting in 1941. The 611 was built in the 3rd group. They built the 611, 612, and 613. And the 611 is the only one that remains. When the railroad designed and built these engines, they took the steam technology as far as it would go for the time period. They kind of adapted the design to their operating needs to pull passenger trains between Norfolk and Cincinnati. It was made to run 100 miles an hour in the flat parts of eastern Virginia and to maintain a train schedule in the mountains of western Virginia and West Virginia. The engine operated in regular service from 1950 till 1959, where the railroad retired it. It was then donated to the city of Roanoke, where it was on display in Wasena Park. In 1982, it was restored by Norfolk Southern and operated in its first excursion career from 1982 to 1994. I started with Norfolk Southern with the Steam Locomotive Department in 1988. And 611 is one of the engines that I started on. We were based out of Birmingham, Alabama. I was a fireman on the engine. Our operating season was March through November, and we ran the engine all over Norfolk Southern, all over the system. We went as far north as Chicago, Detroit, Buffalo, as far west as St. Louis, Kansas City, and as far south as Jacksonville, Florida. When it was retired in '94, it was on static display at the Virginia Museum of Transportation in Roanoke. The city of Roanoke donated the engine to the Virginia Museum of Transportation in the early 2000s. And then in 2014, the decision was made to restore it once again. It was brought here to the North Carolina Transportation Museum, star of the streamliners at Spencer. Steam Operations Corporation did the restoration on the engine, and the CEO of SOC is Scott Lindsay. Scott Lindsay had been involved with the engine since 1982 when we were based in Birmingham. So he's had a long history with the engine, and one reason the rebuild went so quickly is because a lot of the people involved in the rebuild were involved with it when it was in Birmingham. When we took it back to Roanoke for the first time after the restoration, it was a very exciting day, proud day for everyone involved, all the volunteers that had contributed so much to it. And then when we took it back to Roanoke, there were literally people packed all along the way, taking pictures, videos, and even helicopters and airplanes chasing us, taking pictures.
This engine's kind of a rock star of the railroad.
A lot of people think it is. The reason the engine lasted so long, and it was built in 1950, is the NNW, they built these engines so well that they outperformed the diesels of the day. The 611 is a modern engine. It has all the modern appliances on it. It has a multi-bearing throttle, power reverse. The engine's 100% roller bearing. So it operates very easily. It's very powerful, 80,000 pounds tractive effort. It responds very well. It's an awesome running steam locomotive.
Continue to learn at home with other great videos from the North Carolina Transportation Museum on Facebook, YouTube, and nctrans.org. The North Carolina Transportation Museum in Spencer is the museum that moves you.